Welcome back. You are watching Global Eye. American EV giant Tesla is set to mark its entry into India in the next 2 to 3 months. Sources have told CNBC TV 18 that the auto major has started the certification process to get approvals, however, is unlikely to manufacture in India. The company has also likely identified 2 showrooms in Delhi and Mumbai and has kick-started hirings for Pune and Mumbai, mainly for showroom-related roles. This comes at a time when India is staring at the threat of the Trump administration imposing reciprocal tariffs with its imminent entry into India. How does Tesla fare in comparison to its global peers? Here's the breakdown. Tesla continued to lose market share in China as sales plunged more than 50% in February. In comparison, China's BYD sales in February grew 7.4% on a monthly basis and 164% on an annual basis. In an effort to counter these declining sales, the American auto giant also rolled out attractive benefits. This included interest-free loans and free lifetime charging. The company is also aiming to bolster sales of its latest model, the Cybertruck, by offering competitive financing deals. The nightmare for Tesla doesn't end there alone. In 2025, Tesla stock fell a staggering 45%, losing all gains since US President Donald Trump won the elections in November. Tesla showroom and charging stations have been damaged in a series of attacks on EVs across the United States and Europe. The possibility of waning demand has also concerned investors. This after Tesla takedown protests urging consumers to shed their Teslas erupted in the US. However, Musk assured investors earlier this week that the company's long-term prospects remain strong, and in a post on X, US President Trump also showed support to his ally, promising to buy a Tesla. On a post on Truth Social, he also accused the left of attacking Musk by illegally and collusively boycotting Tesla. We're now joined by Daniel Ives, Global Head of Tech Research Division at Wedbush Securities. Dan, thank you very much for joining us once again on Global Eye. Always a pleasure to have you here on CNBC TV 18. Let me begin by asking you, how important is the India market now for Tesla at a time when it's seeing a slowdown in sales in China, stiff competition from BYD all over the world, and a slowdown really all over global markets?
Yeah, look, I mean, they're going through a tough time, right? And when it comes to what we're seeing in sales and obviously some of the brand distractions with Musk and Doge. Look, we've always thought India is going to be a very strong market for Tesla. I think it's really taken a page out of the Apple playbook a little there. And I think when you look over the next 5 to 10 years, I think India is going to be a big market for Tesla. And I think them doubling down, or at least starting to actually, go down that path is a smart strategy, especially what we're seeing globally, in terms of for Tesla.
Right. Dan, as somebody who's been watching Tesla for many years, as an observer, what kind of tariffs do you expect Tesla, Elon Musk, to be seeking from the Indian administration? This is a different Elon Musk now. He is in the White House. He's the head of Doge. Would you have a sense of the kind of tariff structure that he would be looking at? Currently, tariffs on electric cars in India would be around 100 or 110%. Yes, the Indian government is thinking of bringing it down, but would you have any idea as to what they may want?
I mean, Musk, obviously, he's met, I think with many officials within India. And I think that's actually one of the issues that I think's definitely slowed down a lot of the growth in India is tariffs, some of the logistics, distribution. But I ultimately think, look, when it comes to tariffs, no one knows what's going to happen in the next hour, right? With Trump administration. So there's so many variables here. I think when you take tariffs away, I think India is a very important market for Tesla to go after. Especially, look, Chinese are already, focused on that market. You have a lot of competition coming in. And I think it's important that Tesla, very similar to did in the US, China, parts of Europe, that's what they do in India when it comes to showrooms and just to further build out in terms of India.
Right. When it comes to manufacturing, the Indian government had recently brought out a scheme for manufacturing electric cars in India, whereby companies like Tesla could get a concessional import duty of just 15% to get their cars into the country, but they would have to commit to manufacturing with $500 million. In the current context, would Elon Musk want to commit to manufacturing at all in India, or he would first want to just test the market for a few years?
I wouldn't say a few years. I think they put a toe in the water in terms of retail, retail shops and dealerships that ultimately they're going to build out, in India, whether it's 2, 3, or 4. But I do believe as that's successful, and we believe it will, then they start to go down manufacturing path. I think that would make the most sense, and that's similar to what they've done in other countries. Well, it comes down to like they're going to look to whether it's Malaysia. I mean, there's a lot of other areas they're going to look to build. I continue to think India is going to be one of those central areas that Musk and Tesla are going to build out over the coming years, forgetting just this near-term tariff issue, which is obviously clouded not just Tesla, but the overall market.
Right. You've also been writing, Daniel, about the low-cost model that's going to come from Tesla. How soon can we expect that to hit the markets? And do you expect Elon Musk to possibly bring that model to India first?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's by the summer. We'd expect, and then probably expect another one by later this year. Look, it's very important in terms of driving mass demand, right? I mean, that's how, like ultimately how you're going to drive 3, 4 million and plus vehicles per year. It's not on $50,000, $60,000 vehicle. It's 30, 35K. And when you look at India, I believe it all dovetails into the strategy where, that's something that they'll focus in India and some of these other markets, in terms of just trying to drive demand. I mean, this is a key period of time for Tesla, especially as it leads into autonomous robotics and kind of its future growth strategy.
Right. Dan, if I could also ask you to weigh in on the developments over the last few days. SpaceX has signed MOUs with 2 leading rival telecom firms in India, Bharti Airtel and also Jio, to bring Starlink services and also install them for consumers. Now, of course, there will be some time before authorities in India can clear it. Starlink can get authorization in US to have services in India. But how do you see this as a larger strategy for Elon Musk to enter India?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, you could call it the Musk economy, or, when you think about Starlink and you think about Tesla and obviously think about the other initiatives. Look, in India, he's kind of danced around India for years, right? I remember me and you talked when he was going to come to India and he ultimately, didn't do that visit. The point is, like, it's been a 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But I believe it's clear he set his sight. I mean, this is the time to aggressively focus on India, not just for Tesla, but for his broader ecosystem.
Right. He's also been facing a lot of investor criticism, especially his support for Donald Trump as the head of Dodge also. Are you seeing a lot of customers actually move away from Tesla as a brand? Do you feel that somewhere, because Donald Trump is not very big on climate action and saving the environment, do you feel that many of his buyers around the world are moving away from that brand? Is this going to be a worry for Tesla and Elon Musk going forward?
Look, I think right now it's contained, but we've talked about, I mean, it's a worry if it continues, right? And the last thing you want, whether it's left, right, center, you don't want Tesla to become a political symbol in terms of the cars. And that's kind of what it's becoming. And I think that's been a huge overhang in the stock. And I think when you see at the White House and, I get this sort of political theater, but it all comes down to like Musk needs to better balance being Tesla's CEO and Doge. You could do both. But I think it's been a big issue for the stock because brand, it's contained now. But if it spreads, that becomes a bigger issue.
My final question to you would be, how soon do you expect an announcement? We're hearing next 2 to 3 months. He's already taken a place in Mumbai on rent. He's taken a place in Delhi also on rent to set up a showroom. They're making hirings in India. So how soon do you expect them to make an India announcement, Daniel?
I think by the summer. I think like when you think about June, July, I mean, that would be the sort of date where I'd expect something before then.
Right, by summer, by June or July. Thanks, Dan, for joining us here, giving us your view on why Elon Musk and Tesla would like to enter the India market, why it's important for them at this stage. With that, it's wrap on this edition of Global Eye. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to CNBC TV 18 for more news and updates.